90% of college graduates are becoming bums. These kids can't find jobs, and I don't really feel that bad for them. But I will tell you this, the boomers are definitely going to be held accountable for what's happening in society. Today's video comes from the China Unvarnished channel. Their channel will be linked in the description of the video so that you can go check them out and support them. Watch to the end of the video to fully understand the implications of so many young people not able to find jobs anymore and how that's going to affect society going forward and the boomers who, spoiler alert, will be held accountable. Don't forget to follow us over on Rumble. You never really know what can happen on this platform. So we have our Rumble linked in the description of the video. Also, guys, you never really know what's going to happen anymore. Things are kind of strange around us. And that's why one of the best things you can do for yourself is to learn crypto. So let me just tell you a little bit about the Crypto Trading for Dummies blueprint available in Angry's Crypto Academy. With this blueprint, you'll learn how crypto day trading can help you earn daily profits, even starting small. Imagine making $30 a day with $100 or even hundreds daily trading small amounts, working just an hour a day. It's written so simply that even a fifth grader can do it. With banks collapsing and the economy in chaos, this skill is your lifeline. Click the link in the description to check it out now. And now let's just go ahead and jump right into the video.
Recently, some people on Chinese social media have expressed frustration, claiming that doctoral degrees in China are becoming increasingly undervalued, to the point where they are as common as street goods.
应试教育就是死路一条.
Exam-oriented education is a dead end. Have you seen that job fair at Xi'an Jiaotong University? It's like master's degrees are as common as stray dogs, and PhDs are everywhere. It's not that there aren't enough jobs, it's just that the salaries don't meet expectations. You can't blame these kids for clinging to their academic robes like Kong Yi-ji. They have no choice. For example, the salaries offered to engineering PhDs at Xi'an Jiaotong are about 150,000 to 200,000 yuan a year. Can you believe that? A PhD from a top 985 university, someone who's been in school for 24 years, after spending half their life studying, they're paid so little that it would take them 10 years of salaries just to buy a home in Xi'an. That means even if your kid is brilliant enough to get into a PhD program at Xi'an Jiaotong, they still need their parents' help and wouldn't own a house until they're over 40, just in Xi'an. Degrees in Chongqing are worthless now. I know saying this will get me criticized, but the truth is hitting people hard. Yet parents are still pushing their kids into this cycle. They're spending so much just to get their child into a decent university, thinking it'll guarantee a respectable white-collar job. Honestly, that's such a foolish decision. The days when being a college graduate was a golden ticket are long gone. Last year, over 10 million college students graduated nationwide. The total number of PhD and master's graduates has even surpassed the number of undergrads. Yet the overall employment rate is barely 50%, and that includes people working assembly line jobs. Even so, only half of them are employed. When my parents' generation was young, being a college graduate was a huge deal. Even being a vocational school graduate came with guaranteed job placement. But how many college students were there back then? Now we're seeing over 10 million graduates each year. Take civil engineering, for example. A few years ago, it was one of the hottest fields. Now it's so unpopular that barely anyone is enrolling in those programs. People thought going to college would lead to white-collar office jobs. Instead, they're ending up in blue-collar roles. How could anyone not feel bitter about that? Others have noted that it's not just the low employment rates of PhD graduates that's concerning. Even those who manage to secure jobs often face shockingly low salaries.
现在博士都这么不值钱了吗？到时候几千的讲师遍地都是。
Is a PhD really worth so little now? Soon, thousands of lecturers will be everywhere. Back in 2003, a university professor's salary was around 2,000 yuan per month, while the average housing price in Beijing was 4,456 yuan per square meter. By 2023, Beijing's average home price had skyrocketed to 48,500 yuan per square meter. Housing prices have increased tenfold, but university professors' salaries haven't kept up. Nowadays, a starting PhD salary of 20,000 yuan per month isn't even that high, and very few actually earn that much. An assistant researcher at the Chinese Academy of Sciences makes about 13,000 yuan per month. In second or third tier cities, university lecturers take home around 7,000 yuan, and that's considered normal.
The comment section of a viral video discussing this topic was flooded with complaints. One person shared, "My child graduated with a PhD and became a teacher at a junior college in Suzhou, earning only 6,000 yuan a month." Another remarked, "When something is rare, it's valuable. PhDs are losing value because there are just too many of them." A graduate from a top-tier 985 university, under the pseudonym Wang Lei, stepped out of academia full of hope, believing his high degree would earn him respect and rewards in society. However, he faced repeated rejections during his job search. Companies considered him too old, his salary expectations too high, and his practical experience insufficient. Universities and research institutions either had limited positions or set impossible standards. After a year of struggling, Wang was still relying on his family for support. His PhD, once a source of pride, had become a heavy burden. On lower-level jobs, employers felt his qualifications were overkill, while for high-level roles, he lacked the necessary experience. This is not an isolated case. In recent years, many young PhD holders in China have found themselves in similar situations. Despite publishing numerous papers and articles in prestigious journals, they struggled to land desirable positions. One 42-year-old PhD graduate with a degree in Marxist theory faced unprecedented challenges in her job search. She hoped to leave her small town and secure a better future for her family, but reality hit her hard. Her age was a barrier, and her field of study held little value in the job market. A professor's blunt advice left her disheartened. Unless she was willing to work in remote areas, her aspirations were unlikely to be fulfilled. There was a time when PhD holders in China were celebrated as a pride of the nation, enjoying high social status. However, this prestigious title seems to be losing its luster.
A lot of these people would be grateful if they could get jobs cleaning toilets right now. Cleaning toilets, taking out garbage, changing bed pads. Oh my gosh, how the mighty have fallen. Listen, bro. Listen, little bro. I understand. Little bro, little sis, I get it. I have two masters. I didn't learn by less. See, this is the reason why I talk about smart men learn from their own mistakes, wise men learn from mistakes of others. I have a friend who always said, he said, "Angry, you went to college, a genius, you came back an effing idiot." All right? I'm telling you guys. I obviously didn't learn my lesson until after the second master's. And even then, I was working on a PhD, I was working on a doctorate, but I dropped out of the doctorate because of a health issue that arose. I just didn't want to be bothered anymore. But, if it wasn't for that, I would have kept on going. There was a time in my life where I just said, I could just stay in school forever. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you. There was a time in my life, honestly, I feel like if I could have stayed in school forever, if I could have just kept taking if I could have just kept taking out loans indefinitely and lived off those loans and then just kept on learning. Like there was a show, what was it, Grounded for Life? No, Arrested Development. And there was a character in the show. He was kind of like mentally stunted a little bit. He was like the youngest brother, I think, of the siblings, the main siblings. And what basically ended up happening with him is he would just keep on going to school and getting a new master's every year or something like that. And I thought to myself, that's not even a bad life, man. I could just stay in school forever and just keep doing this forever. I don't have to do it. But eventually they cut you off. Eventually, like you can max out your your lifetime availability of student loans, and and it just and trust me, like I stopped at like in the hundreds of Ks, but there's some people who have like $1 million in student loan debt, and those people are done for life. Like they're never gonna pay those loans off, and their lives are ruined. Their lives are 100% ruined. Like it's and what's amazing is like even if you pass away, they're just gonna try to come after your estate. It's pretty nasty stuff. It's nasty stuff. It just never ends, man. never ends. But that's why I say wise, smart men learn from their own mistakes, wise men learn from their mistakes of others. When it came to school, it took me a long time to learn from my mistakes. In fact, if I wasn't retired, I was basically retired. Okay, I had to be retired from education because of a health issue. If it wasn't for that, you may not even have angry guy videos right now, because I would still be out there doing this type of thing, just like in school, living off that sweet student loan money and just chilling, playing video games. Like, oh, it's just time to write another paper, man. All right, man. Yeah, let's write this paper, bro. Let's write this paper. Oh my gosh, another degree. I'll put it up, put it next to the next one, man. Put it next to the next one, man. Guys, I'm telling you, school is not for smart people. It's for conformity and indoctrination. All right? Stay the heck out of school. Don't mess around with that crap. Don't mess around. All of these kids, they're going to be bums. They're going to be bums. Look at it. A lot of them are becoming bums. There are entire areas in China where these people are sleeping on the streets right now. Men and women, young men and women, like Gen Zers. I told you, they're going to be a generation of thieves and squatters. Thieves and squatters. So they have no opportunities. All right? And the boomers, the wealthiest generation in the history of humanity. In 200, you can look it up, guys. They are the wealthiest generation in the history of humanity. They are wealthier than citizens of the Roman Empire were at the greatest heights of the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire was the largest, the greatest, most powerful, wealthiest empire in the history of the world. It was so wealthy that the average Roman citizen did not have to work. And the baby boomers, the average baby boomer is wealthier than they are. Many of you are going to say, well, my parents aren't that wealthy. That's because we're talking about averages. We're not talking about mean, median, or mode. All right. We're talking about averages. And the average baby boomer is wealthier than every generation that has ever existed, every group of people that have ever existed in the history of the world in 200,000 years. And despite this, roughly half of every tax dollar collected still goes towards subsidizing the living and livelihood of these bad apples. See, the way the boomers work, it took me time to figure it out, is they don't like to spend money. The boomers, they do and they don't. The way the boomers operate is they like to spend everyone else's money. It's not that they won't spend their money, but they'll spend your money first. They'll take advantage of everyone else around them and use everyone else around them to subsidize their living. And then they'll spend their money. They have a very strange relationship with money, which is one of the reasons why I don't like Gen Z so much, because I can tell how evil they're going to be. They are going to really be awful to their kids. Their kids are really going to have to end up going without. And these scumbags are going to, this is, guys, just like the boomers like to sit around saying that they had to walk 2-3 miles to school every single day. They're a bunch of good for nothing punks. Just so you know, guys, I used to walk miles. I used to walk maybe a mile or two to school. All right. There was nothing. There was nothing. Our parents didn't care about us. They used to put us out there. I grew up in New York. They put us out there and they said, leave. You know what New York like was do you know what New York was like back in the 80s and early 90s? Okay. It didn't really matter what borough you lived on. There were a bunch of crap. Well, people who like the fluffy white stuff everywhere. And then there were the people who like the fluffy white stuff that was processed into another type of stuff that you would smoke, everywhere. It's pretty bad, man. It was pretty bad back then. And I was a little kid, and you just had to be smart back then, because you'd get snatched up very easy, very, very easily. And back then in those days, like, we had public parks, but you could never really go to any of the public parks because that's where the drug dealers did their business and that was their territory. So you knew you don't even step foot in that area because they owned those parks. It was when Giuliani became mayor that he shut that down. He chained them up and he put all those pieces of crap in prison where they belong. He did a lot of good for the city, but the boomers are a horrible group of people that. All right. Remember, don't ever forget what I told you about the boomers, the old a hole is a hole boomers. These bad apples, all they wanted to do was drink and party. Okay. And constantly going on these carnival cruise adventures. Guys, this is so interesting because previous generations ensured that there was always money left over, not just for their children, but for the second and third generations. I know it sounds crazy. And it wasn't just the reason why they did this was not just so that they would leave a legacy, it was also for their own benefit. You see, they made sure that their kids would have money and that their kids could then use that money to have a foundation. So they made sure that their kids had homes, or their kids stayed with them, and their kids would always have a place to live. They made sure to take care of their children so that they themselves would always have a place to go. This is how you grow wealth. You grow wealth by ensuring that your children are doing well in life. Yes, you ensure that they have a good education or good trades or whatever, and are able to survive in the world, but you also spread your wealth amongst your children and then watch it grow. That's what the wealthiest amongst us do. They spread their wealth among their children. That's how they do it in the Middle East. That's how kings and emperors rule. They spread their wealth among their children. What the boomers did was they kept everything for themselves, even money that was left for us by our grandparents. They stole that too. These are a bunch of good for nothings, very, very bad people, man. Really, really bad people. And guys, we're going to see the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of humanity occur, because the boomers are going to be rushing in to buy crypto ETFs, and we're going to be the ones selling them our crap coins. All right. That's why I'm telling you, you need to get into trade. You need to get into crypto, and you need to get into crypto trading. Okay. We have the Crypto Trading for Dummies blueprint over in Angry's Crypto Academy. And with the blueprint, you're going to learn how crypto day trading can help you earn daily profits. Guys, when everyone starts losing their jobs, this is how you're going to be able this is how you're going to be able to survive and sustain yourself. In fact, you can use this to get rid of your jobs. A lot of y'all are doing some nasty jobs right now. You can, guys, do this an hour a day and you can basically live your life. All right. So even starting small, you can turn this into an actual job. Imagine making $30 a day with $100 or even hundreds daily, trading small amounts, like trading $500 a day, and reasonably you make around $100 to $200 a day every day. And you can use things like bots and automation to help facilitate this. That works out to anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000 a month, $36,000 to $72,000 a year. And if you work a little bit more, you can easily pull $100K while sitting at home playing games and drinking margaritas. Okay. And it's written, the blueprint is actually written so simple that even a fifth grader can do it. So with the banks collapsing and the economy in chaos, this skill is your lifeline. Click the link in the description to check it out now. I mean, guys, this is the boomers have left us with nothing. They are a chaotic group of bad people. Very, very, very bad people, and they'll never admit to it. As soon as someone tries to criticize them, as soon as someone from their generation calls them out and says, yeah, we really messed up, they try to silence it because they're narcissists. They're very, very bad people, just like Gen Z. And I could see it inside of them. They're going to be awful parents. Those of them that do have kids, I know many of them aren't going to have kids, but there are those of them who will have kids, and they're going to be awful parents to their kids. To make matters even worse, even people like myself, even people like myself and some of the older millennials, so Gen Xers who haven't had kids yet and older millennials, it's not going to be pretty, because a lot of us see exactly what Gen Z and Gen Alpha look like. And now you think about, do you really want to give your kids a cell phone? Do you really want to give your kids a PlayStation? Do you really want to give your kids any of these things? So it's like, now you have to worry. You don't want to give them too little, but you also don't want to give them too much. And it's like, it's frightening, because you look at Gen Alpha and Gen Z. Gen Alpha, they're done. They're cooked. They are completely cooked. There's no hope for these people. People think angry, you're going too far. No. No. I'm telling you, there's no hope for them. We need prisons right now. We need lots and lots of prisons right now. We need to build like how they built these big prisons over in El Salvador to lock up those MS-13 people. We need to build these prisons to lock up the alphas. All right, they are feral, but the difference is that with Gen X, Gen X Zennials, we respected authority. But we didn't trust it, but we respected it. The alphas, they're awful. They're absolutely awful, and they can't read or write. Gen X is talking a load of BS. Gen X could read, write, do math. They do a decimal system all before we finished elementary school, y'all. Guys, we can work a cash register before we finish elementary school. I don't know what anyone is talking about. All right. Guys, PEMDAS we had things like PEMDAS, all right, and we had all the acronyms and all this other stuff, and we can write cursive. These scumbags, on the other hand, they can't read. There are so many videos online from teachers saying these kids can't read, and no one wants to wake up and accept it, that these little good for nothings, these bad muffins, and yes, they have no doubt they are bad muffins, can't read. The only place that we can really put them is prison. We need to incarcerate them as quickly as possible. Gen Alpha, Gen Z will spend their lives, many, if not most Gen Zers will spend the majority of their lives in and out of prison, while many, if not most Gen Alphas, all right, let me correct myself. Yeah, many, if not most Gen Zers will spend their lives in and out of prison, while many, if not most Gen Alphas will spend the majority of their lives incarcerated, institutionalized. So, because they're going to do long stints. Gen Z is going to be in and out for petty stuff. Gen Alpha is going to be serving long years. Like we're talking about like decade, like they're going to be like, 5 years, that's nothing. 10 years in prison is nothing to a Gen Alpha. Because a lot of them are going to go in so young, it doesn't even make any sense. Like they do their first 10-year stint. They went in at 13. They did their first 10-year stint. They're out at 23. They committed some crimes. They went back in for another 5 years, got out for a little bit, and then it went right back in for another 5-6 years. By the time they come out, they're now like 34 years old. That's still a lot of life to go commit more crimes. So right there, they've already done 20 years in prison, or even maybe a little bit they still feel fresh. They still feel fresh, y'all. So it's like we need some real prisons, and like once we put them there, we need to keep them there, like lifetime incarceration. We don't need to play this game like, let them come out. No. Put them in at 13 and keep them there, all right? Put them in at 13 and keep them there, just like we need to keep Diddy there, all right? Forget about the concept of life sentence. Like you're just doing life. You're not sentenced to life. You're just doing life. There's no you're coming out or no. That's your new home. That's your new home. And that's how we need to roll with the alphas, and with the Z's and the alphas, especially the alphas. All right, there's no coming. That's their new home. That's where they're gonna grow up. That's where they're gonna do their degeneracy. Let the prison guards raise them. Okay, that's just how it is. All right, Department of Corrections. They let them sing happy birthday and happy Christmas to them. They can have turkey on, if they behave, they can have turkey and mashed potatoes with a little bit of fake cranberry sauce and whatever the hell they feed them in there. I don't care. I just don't want them out here. All right. Lock them up and that's it. Forget about the concept of life sentence. No, there's no life sentence. You're just doing life. That's your new life. Okay. There's a society out here, and that's a society in there. That's your society. Y'all aren't coming out. We're going to keep you in there forever. All right. We're never going to put up with y'all. Gen Z, you could already see it. They're going to be stealing and squatting. They're already doing it. They're going to go into their full-blown hippie era, and then it's just going to be hell for the rest of us. Good for nothings.
Experts point to one main factor: unchecked expansion of doctoral programs. Since the late 1980s, China's population growth rate has slowed, while the number of graduate admissions has surged. Research shows a weak correlation between these two trends, with a correlation coefficient of just 0.13. From 1981 to 2020, China's GDP grew at an average annual rate of 14.3%, but the correlation between GDP growth and graduate admissions growth was almost non-existent, at negative 0.006. In 1978, the Chinese Communist Party resumed doctoral education, admitting only 18 PhD students nationwide that year. In 1981, the academic degree system was formally established. Throughout the 1980s, the number of admitted PhD students remained small. However, starting in the 1990s, doctoral admissions began expanding rapidly. Universities increased the number of doctoral programs and admissions to boost research output and academic rankings. PhD graduates became valuable for scientific evaluations and paper production, making them a weapon in the inter-university competition. By 1995, the number of doctoral admissions exceeded 10,000 for the first time. In 1999, PhD graduates also surpassed 10,000. By 2007, China had more science and engineering PhDs than the United States. In 2017, doctoral admissions reached nearly 83,900.
Yo, that's what we call a scam. That's what we call a scam. Listen to me. Between me and you, that's what we call a scam. All right. And by the way, guys, we actually have a sale going on over in the academy right now. We actually have an incredible sale happening right now over at Angry's Crypto Academy. Everything is 50% off. So definitely go and check it out before the sale ends. The academy is linked in the description of this video. Yeah, so I mean, it's actually pretty interesting what's with these people. Like, this is a scam. They've been sending young people off to high school, sending young people off to college. Guys, it was the boomers. They were like, okay, we're gonna send these little idiots off and have them like stuck with massive amounts of student loan debt and no real opportunities. Guys, 18. You like in the 80s, you had like only 18 PhDs graduating in the entire country. And then by the 90s, they rapidly increased that number. Why? Because of money. They diminished the actual value of these degrees and decided that they were going to keep these young people, as wage slaves for the rest of their lives. Debt slaves. Basically, you are now an indentured servant with these garbage degrees. How many of us would have been better off if we had become garbage men? All right, or postmen, or these jobs that had no student loan debt. All of those people right now that drove for UPS, they have multiple properties. It's a sick society, man. It's the boomers were always up to no good, and they meant literally no good for their kids. They saw their kids just as a meal ticket, and they used them. They stole our futures from us while we were still in diapers, and then they attack us for saying, how dare you talk about it? Guys, I'm going to tell you, I don't care how many of you guys try to refute what I'm saying, because I know what's going on. And many of you are corrupt, and these individuals, they are extremely corrupt, and we have to help them. We have to hold them accountable, and the only way we can hold them accountable is by talking about it. They don't want us to talk about it. They want to silence us because they are that corrupt. The people who are trying to silence you are the ones who are lying to you. Okay? That's the honest to goodness truth. If someone is trying to silence you, if someone does not want you to speak, it's because they are guilty. They are absolutely guilty. All right? They've done horrible things and they don't want you to talk about it. They're the ones who've ripped you off. They're the ones who stole your futures. Okay? That's literally, guys, how do you spot a liar? Huh? How do you spot a liar? It's not hard. I actually saw a meme on Twitter, and I'll share it with you. Look at it. It's very simple. How do you tell who's telling the truth? The ones trying to silence others, the ones trying to silence other people are the ones lying. Of course, the boomers will immediately try to shut this down, and some of their awful spawn will try to shut it down and say it's not true when it's really true. The ones who want to silence you are the ones who are lying to you. The boomers immediately try to silence us when we discuss this and gaslight us, all right? The reason why is because they know what they've done. And guys, the truth is they're getting old, and they're corrupt. They're extremely corrupt. So all they have is threats and lies and gaslighting and using religious propaganda to try to scare you and bait you into obedience. All right. These people were handed everything and they took everything. And George Carlin said it: sex, drugs, and rock and roll for 40, 50 years. And now they're staring down the barrel of old age and they don't like it. They don't like it one bit. And they want it all. And by golly, they got it all. But even that's not good enough for them. They've already scraped the pot clean and then they came back from the pot. They already ate. They cleaned all the meat from the bone. They cleaned all the meat from the bone, sucked the marrow dry, and now they've come back for the damn bone. All right? These are some bad apples. These are some really, really bad apples.
Between 2017 and 2023, the number of admitted PhD students almost doubled, from 83,900 to 153,300, a staggering increase of almost 83%. In 2023 alone, 82,300 PhD students graduated. This rapid growth resembles a great leap forward. However, despite the surge in numbers, China lacks sufficient job opportunities to absorb such a large pool of doctoral graduates. This mismatch has sparked widespread online discussions and complaints.
10年前，我参加高考的时候，
10 years ago, during my college entrance exams, my homeroom teacher told me, in China, people aren't valuable, but talent is. 6 years ago, when I graduated college, my counselor said, in China, a bachelor's degree isn't worth much, but a master's degree is.
A bachelor's degree isn't worth much, guys. They are gaslighting you. This is the reason why. If you don't know anything about crypto, guys, go learn about crypto. Okay, you can start learning about crypto for the cost of a price, for the cost of a cup of coffee over in our crypto academy. Ask you something. When the banks collapse, and trust me, it's coming, will you be ready? Imagine waking up to ATMs that don't work, bank doors chained shut, and millions of people left with nothing. No cash, no access to their savings, and no way to survive. But it doesn't have to be that way for you. That's why I created Angry's Crypto Academy, to teach you everything you need to know about crypto so you can protect yourself and your family. You'll learn how to buy, sell, and even day trade crypto for a living. Plus, we alert you to new crypto trends so you can profit before everyone else even knows what's happening. Right now, I've just published an exclusive investment guide inside the Academy, and it's linked in the description below. In it, I reveal the one coin that could make you a millionaire. A coin so revolutionary, it could change everything. If you missed out on Bitcoin and Ethereum, this is your second chance. This isn't just about financial freedom. It's about survival. When the system collapses and everyone else is selling, you'll be the one buying, prepared to weather the storm and thrive while others struggle to survive. Don't wait. This knowledge isn't optional, it's critical. The link's in the description. Go check it out now.
Years ago, when I finished my master's, my advisor said, in China, a master's isn't worth that much, but a PhD is. Now that I've graduated with a PhD, my employer tells me, in China, education isn't worth much, but capital is. But the problem is, all my capital over the years went to paying tuition. However, it's worth noting that China's overall number of PhDs is not as high as it may seem. While the United States has around 6% of its population holding a doctoral degree, China's proportion is only about 0.8%. This means that for every million people, more than 600 in China hold a PhD, compared to over 10,000 in the United States. So why is there such a noticeable surplus of PhDs in China? Experts believe the issue lies in the scale, structure, and quality of doctoral education in China, which do not align well with the country's socioeconomic level. In recent years, the Chinese Communist Party has emphasized doctoral education. In 2020, China held its first national conference on postgraduate education since the founding of the People's Republic. In 2024, the CCP Central Office and State Council jointly issued rare guidance on accelerating high-quality development of doctoral education. However, experts argue that these policies are more about political appeasement and disconnected from real-world challenges. Robin Xing, Morgan Stanley's chief China economist in Hong Kong, told Nikkei Asia that China has significantly expanded its higher education system over the years. Yet its economy remains largely reliant on manufacturing and low-end service industries. Xing pointed out that this is a structural issue. China's economy is vast and undergoing gradual transformation. However, it will take time before it can develop into a more advanced economy like Japan, South Korea, or the United States. These nations have professional, high-end service sector capable of creating more and better quality jobs. Meanwhile, the challenging job market in China has significantly affected the value of doctoral degrees. In recent years, China's overall economic growth has slowed, with some industries shrinking or undergoing transformation. This has reduced the demand for highly educated talent from traditional employers. The tech sector's rapid growth has also plateaued, leading to hiring freezes and even widespread layoffs. Industries like real estate and finance have cut back on recruitment as part of structural adjustments. Under these conditions, universities and research institutions face limited capacity for hiring.
It would have made more sense to go and get a real estate license that did not require a college degree and start selling properties. Guys, so many of us would have been better off if we had never gone to college and got everyday average jobs. It's food preparation. Guys, the guys who were all those people that were hot dog vendors that were like, no, my kids will never sell hot dogs. They're going to go to school and get these degrees. The hot dog vendor is now retired, with like millions of dollars, like a $3 million house. I'm not making it up. $3 million house and all of this money, the evil old prick. And his kids are all basically in the streets, with PhDs, not able to do much, and they've wasted their lives. How many of our parents have made us waste our lives in college and school, and then they turn around and talk crap to you, saying things they did like they did the best they could? And these were horrible parents as well, terrible parents. They did the best they could, blah blah blah. And now look how your life turned out. These are good for nothing. These are terrible. And then the irony is, many of them can't. They spend all their money. These same people who talk about accountability spend all their money, and then they need their kids to come and bail them out right before they become homeless. That's what's happening with a lot of boomers right now. They basically burn everything out. They blame their kids for it, and then their kids have to basically come and bail them out, let them live with them, and help them with money. Or else mom and dad are going to be homeless. This is crazy. This is how the boomers lived, and they'll blame their kids. They'll blame society. As guys, these people. Oh my gosh, these are the worst. And I'll tell you something. They can't change. And when I say they can't change, it's not even like they're too old to change. They could never, even when they were in their 20s, just like Gen Z cannot change. You can ask Gen Z; they'll tell you they can't change. Go ask Gen Z. Go and ask a lot of them. They'll tell you they can't change. And that's one of the few honest things that you may coming out of their mouths. All right. There are a lot of them who'll tell you they can't change. They're not going to change, and they can't change because that's who they are. Their personalities are set in stone. By the time you're like 70 years old, your personality is set in stone. And I understand that people can learn from suffering and stuff. Suffering is only going to make these people more criminal. It's like, it's only going to make them more dangerous. These are not people that were raised to be resilient. They're not people that were raised to be decent. I think about it, I'm like, how the hell did we turn out so different? Gen Xers, Zennials, older millennials, when we had such terrible parents like the boomers. The reason is because many of us we raised ourselves, but we were also raised by the silent generation. We're also raised very much by the greatest generation. So even though our good for nothing parents basically put us out on the streets, we were still around. Many of us were still around our grandparents, or we were around older people who spoke to us and we could learn from them. We still learned something from these older people, believe it or not. We learned how to carry ourselves. We learned how to be professional. We learned how to think. We also learned wrong from right. Look, Mr. Rogers, how many of us would probably be incarcerated now, or are basically just flipping out every 5 minutes? So many Gen Xers walk around with so much anger, like it's the Gen X rage. I used to think that I had the red pill rage. Nope, it's not red pill rage. I had this rage my entire life. It's the Gen X rage. I never knew that most Gen Xers walk around with this thing where they're just pissed off all the time. It's not all Gen Xers, but it's a lot of them. All right, they walk around society just wanting to hit someone. And how many of us would basically have fallen into the trap of saying, screw it, I don't care, and just gone crazy? One of the reasons why so many Gen Xers are not in prison right now for just basically saying, you know what, just F it, I'm just going to finish it off right here and I'll go and do my prison time, is because of Mr. Rogers and the values that Mr. Rogers taught us about controlling your emotions and thinking about your actions and where they'll lead you, and where they'll lead you. If it wasn't for guys like Mr. Rogers, many of us would be in prison or in the morgue or in the cemetery. It's the truth. It's the absolute truth. But Gen Z, they didn't have that. They had their parents, and many of their parents tried with them, but they didn't have those older people. And the baby boomers are not people to set an example. It's amazing how long they've lived. A lot of people have been wondering, even like 5 years ago, when are the baby boomers going to start passing away? I'm going to tell you guys something. A lot of y'all are too young to know this, but this is something that Gen X often says. Gen X and some of the older millennials often make these claims that their parents were working that the baby boomers were doing ritualistic sacrifices and witchcraft, and this is one of the reasons why they've lived so long. I don't know if this is true, okay, but I'm just gonna put it out there for some, because a lot of you have, yeah, there's a bunch of these people, a bunch of these people claim that their parents were doing witchcraft. I'm not making it up. In fact, back in the 80s, there was this whole thing where where a bunch of people got arrested because they claimed that they were doing like daycare workers were doing witchcraft, and they put a bunch of them in prison, and it was likely unsubstantiated, but sometimes you never really know if there's like in the lies there are truth sometimes in lies, and they mix the truth with the lies, and you have to wonder if the reality it was that the boomers were doing where they're doing their witchcraft. It would not surprise me, but I'm just tossing it out there. And when I say boomers doing their witchcraft, I don't mean like some like immigrants from Haiti doing voodoo. I mean like I'm talking about your soccer mom. All right, like Becky, Becky from the PTA, Becky from the PTA. Okay, like that, that drives the kids around and does bake sales. That's who I'm talking about. That she was doing witchcraft, okay, and making sacrifices. This is just something that a lot of Gen Xers say. I don't know if they say it's despite if they say it as despite the boomers, but it's been out there, and I wanted to put it out there. I might talk about it more because people need to know, because too many Gen Xers and older millennials keep on claiming that their parents were doing witchcraft. Oh my God. Oh my God. I just want to tell you a little bit about the Crypto Trading for Dummies blueprint. With this blueprint, you'll learn how crypto day trading can help you earn daily profits, even starting small. Imagine making $30 a day with $100, or even hundreds daily trading small amounts, working just an hour a day. It's written so simply that even a fifth grader can do it. With banks collapsing and the economy in chaos, this skill is your lifeline. Click the link.
Requirements for academic backgrounds, political screenings, and administrative benchmarks, making it difficult for young PhDs to secure positions. On the corporate side, employers expect PhD holders to deliver immediate value, which makes it hard to justify their salaries. PhD graduates often find themselves in a dilemma: well-educated but lacking practical workplace experience, or equipped with skills honed in labs that don't translate easily into commercial value. According to data released by China's National Bureau of Statistics in 2023, the overall urban surveyed unemployment rate hovered around 5%. However, unemployment among 16 to 24-year-olds exceeded 20% and at one point surpassed 21%, setting a new record. Since most PhD graduates are older than 24, these statistics don't fully reflect their employment struggles. Still, social media and job forums are filled with posts from current and former PhD students expressing anxiety and frustration about their career prospects. Their concerns aren't just about finding a dream job, they reflect a deeper lack of confidence in their future growth. Experts attribute this to an imbalance in the CCP's approach to doctoral education.
It's an imbalance in society due to the boomers. It's the boomers. They are the worst generation in the history of mankind. They are the ones responsible for the pain and suffering. Don't let them gaslight you. Hold them accountable. All right. Hashtag blame the boomers. Hashtag blame the boomers. That's why 90% of college graduates are becoming bums. Let me know your thoughts. We'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWAM and walking away. And cheers.
Nothing says you care like crypto. Nothing can compare. Nothing says you care like crypto. Oh, nothing can compare to crypto.